I'm Elizabeth Maddrey, and I'm going to be reading you an excerpt from my recent release, Her Billionaire Benefactor. This is book one in an upcoming series of mine that won't actually start releasing until 2024, but it's actually book two in a multi-author series, Easter in Gilead. And I believe Valerie Comer read a chapter or an excerpt from her book, which is book one in that series, a couple of weeks ago. So I hope you enjoy this little excerpt from Her Billionaire. Wendy. I shut my office door and moved around behind my desk, took a deep breath and lowered slowly into my chair. The silence in the room, the whole office was comforting, like the ancient sick day quilt ostensibly made by my grandfather. Quiet lay heavily across my shoulders, wrapping me up and offering a thick, almost squishy defense against the world around me. I glanced at the blotter-sized calendar on my desk, grateful I'd thought ahead and changed it to the New Year's before Christmas break. Christmas. My mind shied away, but not before the memory of shattering glass, screams, and disorientation as the car flipped twice made itself known. No. My hand flew to my mouth as my voice startled the memory away. I closed my eyes and breathed in through my nose and then held that breath as I focused on counting to 8 as slowly as I could before counting the air back out. Breath control was about the only useful thing I'd gotten out of the last year of therapy. Oh, sure, the therapist said I was doing great. My parents said I was doing amazingly well. Even my sister, when she, her husband, and their nephew/son had come out, thought I was some kind of walking miracle. But I knew the truth. I was just good at pretending. I pressed fingers to my eyes. Stop. Wendy, just stop. That's not why you're here. With a decisive nod, I quickly glanced at the door, still shut, and moved to turn on my computer. Maybe talking to myself aloud was a new coping mechanism, but it wasn't as if I was the only person in the world who did it, and I didn't have whole conversations, mostly. Fingers on the keyboard, I logged in. While the operating system did its thing, I glanced at the calendar again. January 1st, another new year, another go-round with the Easter Passion Play here at the college, another chance for me to approach alumni and others with my hand out to ensure our endowment remained robust. Mom and Dad said this was a new start, time to move on and get back my feet back under me, as if I was ever going to date again, marry, have a new family. Like I'd risk that. Enough. I opened my email and smiled. 300 messages. That ought to fill the afternoon. I'd gone to church with my parents because it was expected, but begged off lunch and an afternoon in their living room while they tried to pretend everything was normal and I acted as though it absolutely was 100%, because that would make them feel better. They hadn't argued. I think Mom suspected I'd end up here. My office was more of a home than my house. I'd slept on my couch too many nights to tell when the idea of going back to the house had been unbearable. Thankfully, Mom hadn't said anything. I didn't want to add more lies to the words that clouded the air between us. I started at the top, clicking the email, skimming the contents, deleting or filing, depending on importance. Click, skim, delete. Click, skim, delete. It was a calming rhythm that I sank into. The desk phone jarred me out of my email trance. I glanced over and frowned at the area code. It wasn't local, it was... I scrunched my forehead. Chicago? Even as I tried to figure out who I might know in Chicago and considered ignoring the call, they had to be expecting to leave a voicemail, right? I reached over and answered on autopilot. Wendy Hall. There was silence for a moment, just long enough for me to wonder if the caller had given up. Then a man spoke. Oh, hi. I was expecting voicemail. I didn't know how to answer that. Duh was probably the wrong way to go, but it was all I could come up with. I tried to inject a smile into my words. How can I help you? My name is Preston Swift. I'm interested in speaking to someone about partnering with the college financially. And that kicks off Preston and Wendy's story. And I hope that you enjoyed this little excerpt. And you can find out what happens more again at the end of Her Billionaire Benefactor. Thanks so much.